Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Welcome to our English Tech LT Jam featuring ANDPAD, UNIFA, iCARE. It is good to have you all here. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Yoko Hato from ANDPAD. I'm a software developer working at ANDPAD and also the recruitment marketing lead there. I'll be the moderator for today's event. Feel free to call me Yo-san. Okay, this event is an event to talk about technical topics in English. ANDPAD has held English LT events called English Tech LT twice in the past. And this time, it came back as an upgraded version. Today, we will hold a joint corporate collaboration event with 3 companies. Before we start the event, let me make sure all of you can post in the chat box. Please post something like good evening or just emoticons for the test. Please change the destination of the chat to everyone from panelists and hosts because it's the default is a panelist and hosts. Oh, thank you, Bodoge Rishi-san. Thank you so much. Okay. Wait. Thank you. Please live tweet impressions about this event on Twitter with the hashtag @ANDPAD_UNIFA_iCARE. Our staff will pick up the tweets. The URL for the survey about this event is included in the Compass page. Please fill it out after the event. Okay, now I would like to introduce the 3 companies that will participate today. The first company is UNIFA. This will be our 3rd co-hosted event with UNIFA, as we have hosted joint events with them twice in the past. UNIFA provides LookMe, a service for childcare facilities that uses AI and IoT and promotes and develops smart nursery schools, kindergartens, and daycare centers. 2 engineers from UNIFA will be speaking today. I'd like to introduce the 2 speakers from UNIFA. Mr. Akanuma, UNIFA's CDO, and Mr. Karim, UNIFA's Android engineer. Hello, nice to have you today. Each of the speakers, please say hi to our audience.
Hi guys, good evening. I'm Hiroaki Akanuma. So my LT topic will be about management. So I'm opposite if you're interested in it. Okay, thanks. Okay, Shakir, please.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I am an Android engineer from UNIFA, and today I will be talking about Markov decision processes. Hopefully, you guys find it useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to okay, thank you so much. Now I'd like to introduce the second company, iCARE. iCARE develops and operates Kelly, a healthcare cloud service for corporations that make complex and cumbersome health management simple and casual. And also some employees from iCARE who participated in our past 2 English Tech LT events. 2 engineers from iCARE will be speaking today. Would you please turn on your webcams? Mr. Terai, iCARE's server-side engineer. Mr. Hirosawa, iCARE's front-end engineer. Hello, nice to have you. Today, please say hi to our audience.
I'm Shogo Terai, a member of server-side engineer at iCARE. Today, I will do my best to make a good presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm working as a front-end developer at iCARE. I'll talk about OSS developed recently. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Finally, allow me to introduce the last company, which is my company called ANDPAD. ANDPAD is a company that provides the #1 cloud-based construction project management service in the market. ANDPAD enables centralized management of everything from on-site efficiency to management improvement. 2 engineers from ANDPAD will be speaking today. Would you please turn on your webcams?
Okay.
Mr. Yamashita, ANDPAD's CDO, Mr. Kaji, ANDPAD software engineer. Hello, nice to have you today. Please say hi to our audience.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Daisuke. I'm a software engineer in ANDPAD. So today I want to talk about iOS development. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Takumi Kaji. I'm a software engineer working at ANDPAD. I'm not good at talking in English, so please go easy on me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And also we have 2 jumping speakers. Thank you for your participation in the LT session. Please say hi to our audience. Mr. Sakai.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fumiya Sakai. I'm a freelance engineer who is usually mainly involved in developing native apps for iOS and Android. Thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you. And also Mr. Fuji.
Hello, everyone. My name is Takahiro Fuji, and now I'm working at Wells Fargo as a VP of Engineering. So thank you for accepting my application and looking forward to present. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have any questions about the presentations, we will answer them as we receive them. So please post them in the chat box or on Twitter with the hashtag. You may text them in English or, of course, Japanese. Okay. Our first speaker is Mr. Yamashita. Mr. Yamashita his presentation is titled State Management for iOS Development. Please start when you're ready.
Okay, I'm really nervous now. My presentation title is State Management for iOS Development. So I like iOS development, but so we want to use Swift UI and combine, but so now in ANDPAD, so we cannot use that Swift UI and combine. So now, so I investigate the state management for MVVM. So this title is for that. Already I introduced myself. So I'm a Daisuke Yamashita. So I'm a software engineer. So I love developing mobile applications. So I developed some applications in my private. So I love it. ANDPAD is so how to say, so #1 cloud-based construction application. So yeah, and so there are many applications in mobile application. So like the construction management and chat and blueprint, inspection, schedule adjustment, like that. So there are many frameworks. So we use many frameworks. So basically, I use native application, native framework, so Swift Kotlin. And so newly application, we use Flutter framework, like that. So there are many products in ANDPAD. So mainly we use Ruby on Rails. So and sometimes we use microservices for. Sometimes we use Go language for microservices. Today, so in ANDPAD, so we want to hire the engineers, so English speaker. So we are going to, so we have an opportunity to study English, and now, so we hold English Tech LT event in this event. So please join ANDPAD. So declarative UI, so everyone knows that. So I want to explain the platform. So we developed the ANDPAD when 2016. So in this time, so we usually use RxSwift and so like the reactive programming. So we use that. So now, so we use that library or frameworks. So, but recently, so Apple so released newly frameworks like Combine and Swift UI and async await. So next trend is that. So we want to use Combine and Swift UI, but so now, so we don't use it. So I have to investigate that. So Swift UI is a really directive. So yeah, Swift UI is a wait a moment. So this is a sample code. So we can make the screen with from source code. So it's a really simply, so we make the screen. So, and so we can make the test so on this code. So I want to use it. But so usually when we use the Swift UI, so mainly we use the MVVM architecture. But so MVVM architecture is really unclear, I think. So because so there are many state management or so something. So many people think so MVVM is know the concept, but so actually when we implement the MVVM, so everything is different. So depends on engineers. So we investigate the Swift UI combine plus finite statement machine. So this is I refer this blog. So this is a Ukraine engineers blog. So it's a concept for MVVM and so finite state management. So screen state is so really complex, I think. So, but so I want to manage the simple state. I want to manage the simple state. So example is like that. So firstly, either to invalid or rolling or error. So it's a really simple. So screen is based on the state. So finite statement is really difficult, I think. So this is a Japanese script. So finite state management has only one state. So usually we make the view model. So we have many states. So it's really complex, I think. So, but this is so simply state management. So this is an example. So, so firstly, we start the idle state. So event is occurs. The state is changed to loading, or loading to error or loaded. So this is a so simple state management. So screen has a one state only. So in this blog, so we use a combined feedback. So this is really difficult. So explain that. So so it's like Redux, I think. So left side is a state management cycle. It's really similar to Redux. So start initial state to feedback is a action. So in Redux, and so next event so occurs the next is reducer change just creates a new state. So this is a life cycle, state management life cycle. Right side is so the actual flow. So event is happens after that. So feedbacks is actions. So we execute feedbacks, and reduce is create new state like that. So this is actual source code. So it's something difficult, but so this struct feedback so defines the run. So it's only. And next, so feedback loop implementation. It's a little bit so difficult. So, but so simply say, so this is a feedback. So feedback is a this struct. So and feedback has a run. So next system is execute run. This is so really simple. So finally, so we implement we execute feedback. So like that. And this is so implementation. So about so feedbacks. So when loading is feedback, so return the feedback. So this is like action in Redux. So and so this repository is async function. So after that, so map is something create new object, and map next map is event. So send an event, and the catch is so send a failure something failure, and that's it. So after that, so we can make the view Swift UI view class a struct. So we define the view model. So and in this view, so we only send the event like that. So this is so on appear event. This is so iOS lifecycle on appear. And so state management is, so FS finito state management is really simple. So we can make the screen. So depends on the state. So this is so either is a clear screen and loading is a spinner screen, and error is error screen, and loaded is something actual screen. So it's really simple, I think. So that's it. So conclusion is state management is really ambitious on iOS development. So sometimes many people use Redux on iOS development. So, but front end is usually use Redux, but iOS development is depends on developer. So finite statement is really useful, I think. So because it is really simple. So actually I could implement Vue with simple code. So actually I developed the screen in my private project. So after that, we want to try to implement the screen. So in my ANDPAD production application. Thank you for listening. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Yamashita. Thank you so much. Let's see if we received the questions from audience. Oh, thank you, Mr. Shimane. Oh, thank you. I don't see any questions in the chat box from audience, but I have a few of my own. Why did you choose this theme, this title today?
Why?
Why?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. So I'm interested in how to develop the newly application. So yeah, so I said the MVVM is really unclear, I think. So we wanted to investigate that. So, but it's I think it's not the best. So yeah.
So you're searching the new way to
yeah
management that statement, right? Okay, state. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Yamashita. Let's move on to next talk.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our second speaker is Mr. Akanema from Unifa. Mr. Akanema's presentation is titled Manager README version 2022-02-17. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, I can see your
Okay,
slides.
thanks. Okay, so hi guys, thank you for your time today. So I'd like to talk about my manager README, the version number is the date of today. So at first, I'd like to have my short self-introduction. So I'm Hiroaki Akanuma. So I joined Unifa in February 2015 as the first full-time engineer, and working as a CTO since April 2016. Okay, then, so what's manager README? Okay. So in the first, I read it written by Yoshiori-san at Cookpad in 2018. So it's a kind of user's manual about myself. So I think so self-understanding and being understood by team member is so important for increasing team performance and working comfortably. So I also wrote my manager README in 2020 as the first version. So the purpose is that making team members understanding my character and my thought and which point I need members' help. So this is not to force the members to do anything, but to build a better team by utilizing each other's strengths. And today I wrote an updated version. So then I'd like to proceed. Okay, so at first about my role. So I'm responsible for all systems provided by Unifor as a member of the board. So, but I don't develop systems by myself actually. Basically, I leave product development to the team members. So I think CTO is not the person with the highest skills in the team. So there are many professional members like engineers, product managers, designers, and so on. So server-side engineers know the detail of Ruby and Rails than me, since they write production code every day. So product managers are trying to make product excellent, and they think how they can deeply. So, and of course, designers have awesome design sense and skills. So they have higher skills in the professional categories than me, and it should be. So I respect members' judgment in how to develop products. And so then what's my role? So I think how a group of professionals can make better output as a team and build an environment and structure and work for maximizing output of the team. And in addition to the perspective of making an excellent product, I add the business perspective of management and think the direction the team should take. Moreover, the transfer management's intentions to middle managers and make them feel the same way as the management team. There isn't a VPOE in Unifor, so my main role is kind of like VPOE. So, and I'm not good at creative tasks and documentation, so I can't create products only by myself. So I need help from the team members. And next about increase the market value. So of course, I want to continue working with my current team members for years to come. But changing job is not uncommon in the industry. So actually, many of the team members will eventually leave Unifor. So when that happens, so I hope that what you have done at Unifor will not be useless, and that you will be able to move on to the next step by raising your market value as an individual. For that, so I want to assign you work that will help you do what you want to do and improve your skills as much as possible. So I want members to be ambitious in their efforts. And I want you to be proactive in your output, both internally and externally. For example, tech blog, podcasts, having sessions in conferences or events like this meetup. Next about feedback. So if you have any thoughts about me, please feel free to give me feedback. So if you have any comments such as this is wrong or you want me to do more, so please feel free to contact me. So I try to understand how you feel as much as I can, but there are some things that I cannot notice unless you tell me. So it would also be helpful if you could tell me what you think is fine about me. So I know that I should keep that without changing it. And so next, people who come to startup like Unifor, regardless of their department, are all people who can work hard, and it's natural for them to work hard. I believe that everyone is doing the best they can, because that is the kind of person I'm looking for when I interview. So, but it's possible that the results of your efforts may not be good, that the way you proceed was not good, or that you may have ignored salaries from professionals in the area. So therefore, we consider ridicule negative comments without respect to be a problem. So please imagine not only the superficial results, but also the circumstances behind them. So of course, constructive discussions and feedback are always welcome. Next, so basically, I want team members to be free to do what they want. I think it's good for both of us that each of us can do things in a way that is easy for us to do. and that we don't have to worry about the details. For the reason, I expect members to have independency and output. So with remote work, I can see how much work members are doing with that output. So don't hold back too much on your daily achievements, such as status updates via Jira comments or Bitbucket commits, but proactively output them often to show off your work. And my management style is so soft, so I want a situation where hard management is not necessary. Okay, and next. So compared to everyone else who is working on product development on a tight schedule every day, so I have a lot of free time on my hands. So if you have something trivial you want to talk about, so you can always call on me. So if unluckily it's just before a meeting or I have some urgent tasks, I might ask you to have the time later, but feel free to talk to me. So mentions to me on Slack are also welcome at night and holidays. So actually, it would be helpful for me to prevent oversight. And so other things I do. So recently, I spend a lot of my time hiring development team members. I am also working on tech branding for my hiring activities. And I consider annual budget plan for the division and manage actual versus forecasted that. And next about my personality. So I'm an introvert and a shy person. So I tend to be left out at parties, but I welcome being talked to. So I'm timid, but sometimes I start things on the spur of the moment. And I'm not very good at improvising and not very quick with my thoughts. So I'm not good at negotiating or dealing. My blood type is O, so I'm bold and optimistic. And so, I'm waiting for people who want to become CTO. So this does not mean that I'm about to quit as CTO. So I know that most of development members does not want to be a manager. So, but I want to see someone from the team who has the determination to become CTO himself. So as for me, I will not hesitate to step down from the CTO position if someone else comes along who I think is more suitable for the job. Okay, so and at last, so this content is only a snapshot as of 17th February 2022. So if the laws and ideas change, the content may change or be revised significantly in the future. Okay, and that's it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akanuma. That was really impressive presentation. Okay, great slides. Hoping you could share with us later from Mr. Hirata's comment. Let's see if we have any questions. Awesome. From Hari-san. Okay, I have a question for you. Okay. This README is when do you introduce this README to the members?
Today's version is not introduced to our members.
This is the
so this is the first presentation for today's version. So of course, my past version have been introduced already. So, but this content is this content is updated for today's LT.
Oh, so we can see anywhere in the older version. It's a blog or GitHub or
yeah, it's in our tech blog. So it might be slightly difficult to search it. So and I'm going to update my today's version to the tech blog later.
Oh, that's so nice. Mm-hmm. Let's check. Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Akanuma.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next speaker. Next speaker is Mr. Kaji from ANDPAD. Mr. Kaji's presentation is titled Develop Export Server with Node.js. Please start when you're ready.
Okay, please wait. Good evening, everyone. Now, let's begin. Oh, sorry. The theme of my presentation is Develop Export Server with Node.js. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Takumi Kaji. I'm a software engineer working at ANDPAD, mainly server-side, and I often use Ruby and Golang. Recently, Vietnamese engineers joined our team, and I'm studying English through work. Today, I talk about a feature I developed before. Our theme is creating a system which enables to draw shapes on images and share them to others with web and iOS application. And I developed a feature to download PDF-pasted shapes. I need to adjust shape position and size as same as client side. Next, I'd like to introduce technology selection of this feature. When developing this feature, product owner asked me two things. First, user can download PDF with web and iOS application. Second, user can download PDF whose image quality isn't worse. Because of them, I thought I couldn't use way to paste a screenshot created by Webfront on blank PDF and download it. So I needed to develop this feature by server-side from scratch. As a result of thinking, I found a way to develop this feature. It's to create SVG tags, like creating by Webfront, and make them an image and paste it on original PDF. But there were some concerns. First, this logic might consume a lot of memory and CPU resources. Second, it might have a lot of time until finishing processes. Third, there were little libraries in Ruby, in particular, pasting images on original PDF. Therefore, I decided not to add feature in Rails application that was working then. As a result of my research, I decided to develop server for export with Node.js. There were some reasons. First, there were many libraries and examples in GitHub. Second, if using TypeScript, we could fix code safely. Third, I thought we could get help from Webfront engineers in the future. So I selected Node.js. Also, I decided to implement asynchronous processing started from database record inserts. I thought it was ad hoc implementation. So if the traffic has been increased rapidly, I'm going to change its processing to push type. Before I started to develop this system, I hadn't ever developed server-side with Node.js, but I was helped by a useful website. It's 仕事ですぐに使える TypeScript. In particular, around creating environment and deploying application chapter was very useful. I think There are no authors written this document here, but I'd like to express my gratitude. Thank you for writing it. Thanks to useful documents, I could finally finish developing and release the feature on due date. A lot of users are using it now, but it's working fine and there are no server downs yet. Also, it's easy to enhance features. For example, adding other output formats, pasting new shapes on PDF. I think it's thanks to a lot of libraries in Node.js and typeface. Lastly, Vietnamese engineers often help me to develop it too. I was concerned about not being able to take over this feature, but it will be imaginary fear. This is all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Kaji. Okay. So which part of this project is the most difficult for you? Was there any difficult part or is total really easy peasy project?
Sorry, I can't answer it in English. So
okay, you can answer it in Japanese also.
Japanese okay? Japanese okay?
Okay, okay.
いや、まあ、この日本語ですみません。いや、このプロジェクトはすごい、まあ、大変でしたね。はい。
大変だったんですね。
はい、結構初めてなんです。
うん。でも Node.js でサーバーサイドを選んで、時点も結構多かったっていうことですよね。
そうですね。すごく書いてて、よかったなっていうか、すごいやりやすいなって思うこと多かったんで、選んでよかったですね。
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Kaji. Nice presentation. Let's move on to the next talk. Our next speaker is, sorry, I made mistakes of the presentation's order, so it should be the Mr. Terai. Okay, let me introduce Mr. Terai. Our next speaker is Mr. Terai. Mr. Terai's presentation is titled, What is ECS, EKS, EC2, and Fargate? Please go ahead when you're ready.
Yeah. Okay, today I'll talk about what is ECS, EKS, EC2, and Fargate. I'm Shogo Terai. I joined the iCARE Co Limited in August 2021 as a server-side engineer. I usually develop carry the service of iCARE by using Ruby on Rails and GraphQL. Today, I'll talk about what is ECS, EKS, EC2, and Fargate. Now, AWS provides two types of container service, control plane and data plane. Control plane is a place to manage containers. ECS and EKS are a type of control plane. Data plane is a place where containers actually work. EC2 and Fargate are a type of data plane. So if you want to use container service, you need to select ECS or EKS as a control plane, and also need to select EC2 or Fargate as a data plane. So what features does it have? First, ECS, Elastic Container Service. It is one of the control plane. ECS is a service to manage containers that run in the cloud. And AWS will take care of installing the container execution environment, building the deployment environment, and auto-scaling instead of you. Second, EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. It is the other service of the control plane. EKS is the service that makes it easy to run Kubernetes on AWS. Compared to ECS, it is capable of more advanced operations with richer functions. Because it is a service that enables Kubernetes to run on AWS, EKS has less affinity with other AWS services than ECS. On the other hand, it is possible to use tools that have been developed for Kubernetes. By the way, what is Kubernetes? Containers have the ability to run applications, but they don't have the ability to manage them or link them with other containers. Kubernetes solves this problem of not being able to collaborate and make it possible to manage network and storage in a coordinated manner. How should we choose ECS or EKS? In order to make a good choice, let's check the difference between ECS and EKS. ECS has smooth integration with other AWS services such as IAM control, monitoring, logging, and deployment. This is important though ECS is the current first choice of AWS. On the other hand, EKS has a high degree of freedom and allows for more advanced operations. You can use tools developed for Kubernetes. Next, let's look at the ECS Elastic Compute Cloud. It is one of the data plane. EC2 is a service for building a virtual server in the cloud. A server running on EC2 is called an EC2 instance. There is a high degree of freedom in managing the OS, product to be used, version, and so on. Finally, Fargate is one of the data plane. It is a service for running containers without operational management of the instance. While the degree of freedom is low, AWS manage much of the work, so there are fewer items that need to be managed. So how should we choose EC2 or Fargate? In order to make a good choice, let's check the difference between EC2 and Fargate. EC2 needs to apply patches to OS and middleware and so on. But if you use Fargate, AWS will take care of instance type settings, auto-scaling settings, and cluster management. However, resource-optimized EC2 instance such as GPU instances cannot be used. This is important though Fargate is the current first choice of AWS. So what is the conclusion of this presentation? If you are not familiar with AWS Container Service or are not particular about AWS Container Service, choosing ECS as a control plane and choosing Fargate as a data plane is likely to be a good choice for you. In order to have my own opinion, I'd like to learn more about AWS service. Now we are hiring for all positions. If you are interested in working as a member of iCARE, please feel free to contact us. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Terai.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see if we have any questions from audience. Okay. Oh, let me ask one question for you. Why did you choose this theme this time?
Thank you for your good question. I have never been good at development infrastructure, so I want to have my own opinion about carry infrastructure. So today, this is my first steps of studying development infrastructure. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you, Mr. Terai. That was a really good presentation. Let's move on to the next talk. Our next speaker is Mr. Karim. Mr. Karim presentation is titled Demystifying MDPs. Please start when you're ready.
Right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. Oh,
Okay.
can you share the whole presentation?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
Hello, I'm Shakil from Unifa. Today I'll be talking about demystifying Markov decision processes, or in short, MDPs. First, a bit of self-introduction. I joined Unifa in February last year as an Android engineer. Before that, I used to work at a company called Tokyo-Tune as a games engineer. Yeah, that's about it. And what is basically an MDP? If we go to Wikipedia, like the definition is, it's a discrete time stochastic control process that provides a mathematical framework for modeling decision making in situations where outcomes are partly random and partly under the control of a decision maker. So I don't know, but like this does not like explain it too well. So I wanted to talk a bit elaborately about what MDPs are. And MDPs basically form the basis of reinforcement learning, or Q learning, if you're interested in that. So what does it really mean? Basically what MDPs are, it provides a mathematical tool set that allows us to model problems that involve decision making. For example, maybe a recommendation system, what to recommend a certain like user about which movie to recommend based on what inputs the model has gotten. And in the sequence where actions taken, and MDPs are basically work on stuff that like every action taken, the future state would only depend on the current state. That's it. Moving on. So how can we model a problem with MDPs? Basically, we need a few things, like, for example, in an environment, we need observable states. For example, if you consider a human being to be an observable state, it would be like human is at his home. That's an observable state. Or the human is at a convenience store. That would be an observable state. So basically, like MDPs need observable states, and it needs an actor that can affect these observable states. For example, if the human is an actor, he can walk to the convenience store. So if he's at home, if his current observable state is that he's at home, if he walks to the convenience store, his observable state will become that he is at the convenience store. So the actors can affect the observable states, and there will be probabilities of transitioning to future observable states. Like, for example, if the actor is at home, there's a probability that he can go to the convenience store, or also he could go to Sukiya for dinner. So what is the probability that the user will take between these two actions? And also there has to be a reward mechanism to encourage users to move towards states that are better than states that are not that great. Moving on, so MDPs have basically 5 components. They are states that we can observe. Like I said, like for human, that would be like maybe where he is at the moment. Actions or policies, the things that the actor can do. Transition function, it's basically probabilities of transitioning from one state given that he's in another state and he takes that particular action. Here it would be like the probability that if the user is at a state where he is at home, if the actor is in a state where he is at home, if he walks towards the if he walks to the convenience store, what is the probability that his next state would be that he would be at the convenience store? And of course, there are rewards, which could be both negative and positive. And also like the final component of MDPs would be discount factor, which is a value between 0 and 1. I'll talk about this a bit later because now it would not make a lot of sense. And yeah, and like an easy way to remember these 5 components of an MDP is like, if you have watched any of the Avengers movies, you can imagine Thanos's gauntlet and there are 5 Infinity Stones. So you can just think of the 5 components as those Infinity Stones. So what are states? So state is basically like whatever we can observe in an environment. So for example, in this grid world, suppose our actor is the Shiba Inu, and there are many states he can travel. Like let's just assume he can go up or go left. These are actions he can take given on a state. Currently he's in state 0, 0s, but he can also be in states where he can become very like muscular and very strong, or he could also go to a state where he's sad. So these are all observable states. Like we can observe what is happening in the environment and what is happening to the agent. And also like every state should contain information that affects transition to all the future states. For example, like I said earlier, if you think that if the dog is here, so it should contain information like what actions the Shiba Inu can take from here. He can either go to the right or he can go top. So that would be states. Then we can talk about policy or action. Policy and action is like what are the possible actions an agent can take. For example, like if the actor or the agent is a human being and sitting at home during dinner time, the actions he can take is they can either go to the convenience store or go to Sukiya. And basically, like what are the possible actions? And it is formally defined as the probability of an action given a state presented to an agent. And if we look at the example on the right, this fish, given that it's in a state where it has a hook, it sees a hook in front of it. So what are the probabilities it will of the action? Like it might think it's food and like bite on it. It can think that it's death, or it can think it's Disneyland, or it can think it's Aquaman. And so basically, what are the probabilities that the fish will choose any of these following 4 actions? And that is how we define policy and action. And also rewards. After an agent takes an action in the environment, they will be provided with both positive and negative reward based on what the agent did. For example, a positive, like in this, like if we are training pets or animals, they are also treated in the same way. Like for example, if an agent takes an action that results in something good, they're given with a positive reward, in this case, like a cookie. And if they take an action which ends up in them being in a not very good state or a bad state, they can be punished by, like in this case, scolding the fish, and so that the agent is demotivated to take that action later on. Now let's talk about state transition probabilities. So basically, it also talks about probabilities that doesn't, like, even if you are in a certain state and you take the same action, they might not always lead to the same states. For example, like you can be like awake in your bed, and then you lay in your bed. That might lead to two outcomes. You might either get into deep thoughts like, if humans have nightmares, do vampires have daymares? Or you could just fall asleep. So in here, you are like from state awake in bed, you are taking the same action, which is lay in bed, but they might result in two different outcomes. And state transition probabilities is basically gives us what are the probabilities of each of these, like what are the probabilities that given state S and action A1, what are the probabilities of the following states? In this case, what would be the probability that you enter deep thought, and what would be the probability that you fall asleep? Moving on, and now we're talking about discount factor. So like I said, it's basically a value between 0 and 1, and it is basically used to add a weight so that the user prioritizes states that are closer to the agent rather than states that are farther away. And it is formally, it is defined as the sum of all the rewards it gets. Like, for example, if the agent is a human being, they can go to the convenience store, get some rewards, and from the convenience store, they can buy tuna mayo onigiri. That would be a reward. They eat the tuna mayo onigiri, and they get a positive reward. So there are a couple of steps, and what aggregate reward does is like adds up all the rewards for taking a particular set of action. And here, I think you'd understand why discount rate was needed earlier. For example, if we talk about this grid world, we could see that we would calculate, for example, from state 0, 0, if the actor moves towards state 1, what would be the aggregate reward or expected reward for moving to state 1? If we can see, if we calculate it, like here, the state, it has a reward of +1, this particular state, but this is a bit farther away from 0, 0. So what aggregate reward does is that it checks on the state after it. If it moves to state ST, then it will check the aggregate reward for till a terminal state is reached. In this case, it would be becoming extremely strong. So as you can see, this has a reward of +1. So if you go to GT +2, so if this is GT, this is T +1, T +2, and from T +2, you can directly go into the best state, and it would give you a reward of 1. And GT +1 would be this state, and it would basically, like, in here you don't get any reward, so it would be 0, and then you multiply the reward that is for the state that is ahead of it with the discount rate, which would be 0.1 into 1, and you would get a reward for this state to be 0.1. And for this particular state that is ST, or we could say GT, it is like if the dog moves from state 0, 0 to state 0, 1 here, it basically itself does not have any reward, but it will look into the reward of the state that is ahead of it. And earlier we calculated it that it has a reward of 0.1. So it's going to multiply 0.1 with the discount rate, which is also 0.1. And then it will look further ahead into state ST+2, which has a reward of 1. And here, since every time we go further ahead, we also multiply the discount rate with its power. So here we do 0.1 into 0.1 into 1, which gives us a total of 0.02 for the reward of state 0.1. So here you can kind of see like the discount rate is basically being used to is used as a way to prioritize how much, like if you go from state 0.0 to state 0.1, you do have there is a possibility that you will end up in a good state, but the weight of the good state decreases because of the discount rate, as you can see with this particular formula. And yeah, that's it. So in conclusion, the purpose of modeling problems as MDPs is to eventually find optimal action policies for every state. Like for every, after training is done for an agent, if you put him in on any state, the agent should be able to come up with optimal policies for any state it travels to. And a policy also maximizes the mean cumulative reward for an actor that it receives over its lifetime. That's about it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Karim. Let's see if we have any questions from the audience. Oh, we have some questions from audience. Maybe this is for not for Mr. Karim, right? Okay. Oh, you talked about this Markov decision process. Markov decision process. Is that right? Oh,
yes.
That is really, really mathematics.
Yes, I tried my best to not make it very math heavy, but basically Markov decision process is like the basic. After that, you can, if you're interested in Q learning or deep Q learning or reinforcement learning, you basically it builds on top of Markov decision processes. So that is why I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Markov decision processes today.
Okay, so you're studying for MDP. Are you studying MDP right now, or your major was kind of the math major in university or something?
My university major was computer science, but I am quite interested in machine learning and reinforcement learning. I'm working as an Android engineer. This is something that I try to do on my free time. So I thought that maybe it might be fun to talk about it here today.
Okay. This is about this image of the machine learning, right? Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Karim.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Let me answer the questions from audience after the speakers talks. Okay, everyone. So let's move on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Mr. Hirosawa. Mr. Hirosawa.
Yeah.
Mr. Hirosawa's presentation is titled "The Story of Notion RSS Reader." Mr. Hirosawa's presentation title is changed, right? Okay, please start when you're ready.
Okay. Can you see me? Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I can see your slide.
Okay. Now, okay. Good evening, everyone. Today, I talked about my OSS Notion RSS Reader. I published today's presentation documents. Please check my tweet. I'll explain today's agenda. First, the reason why I selected Notion RSS Reader, Notion to develop. Next is a technical talk. I'll talk about ES build. I used GitHub Actions as a crawler to get articles. Lastly, I'll talk about OSS Notion RSS Reader. Before the main part, I want to introduce myself and summary of my OSS. My name is Tsuyoshi Hirosawa. I work as a front-end developer at iCARE. Also, I am a first-year master's student from the last spring. By the way, are you interested in using Notion as RSS reader? If yes, please visit my GitHub page. Yeah. First, I'll talk about the product. Last week, I released the minimum viable product. I developed a feature that allows you to check updates of your favorite sites once every hour. Also, it can save the it can save the article to Notion database. I'm planning to develop some features that gather your favorite articles from Feedly and Pocket. Thankfully, I received a positive response right after the release. Yeah. Next, I'll talk about the reason why I selected Notion to develop. There are three reasons. First, there is no need to make UI. Second, I could implement the idea at a low cost. Third, I thought I could test the idea as soon as it came to me. Okay. Next, I'll talk about the technical details. Please look at this picture. I set up GitHub Actions to run JavaScript at fixed intervals. I implemented to get the site URL from Feeder database. Then I implemented to retrieve the articles based on the URL and save them in Reader database. So to convert TypeScript to CommonJS. It's a simple structure. I'll show you the code to get the articles distributed by RSS. I quoted the description of RSS from Wikipedia. RSS is a technology for distributing the date, title, and summary of the update to website from news and blogs. I used RSS parser. The left image shows retrieving an item from a feed URL. As a current, items can be received in JSON format. Next, I tried to build tools to build the implemented TypeScript. Initially, I was using Webpack. I noticed a big difference in build time by switching to ESBuild. In my local environment, ESBuild won by a factor of 40. Why is ESBuild so fast? There are three main reasons. First, it's implemented by Golang. Second, it allows to take full advantage of the multi-thread CPU. Third, I achieved high-speed parallel processing with efficient memory allocation. Next, I'll talk about executing JavaScript generated by the build with GitHub Actions. GitHub Action is a CI/CD tool. Also, it is available for free in public repositories. It has a variety of GitHub triggers. I'm sure many companies have implemented. In this case, I want to run a script to get articles periodically, so I use schedule event to set by UTC. The left image shows an hour at the left image shows an example. It means once hour at 0 minutes. In using them in GitHub Actions workflow, you need to set them as environment variables. Finally, I'll talk about what I did to publish the implemented product available as OSS. It is also to protect developers. The subtitle of the homepage says guaranteeing the error in the source. The second is the description of how to contribute. You need to explain how to use tools and how to contribute. OSS is freely available for changes and copying, but it is also available for contributions with pull requests for tool updates. For this reason, it is necessary to specify the settings of a viable development environment. In the case of MIT license, you are free to use, copy, reproduce, and redistribute the source code, but you must indicate the developer. You don't need to do anything unless you delete or modify the license file. You are free to use the tool as you wish. That's all my presentation. Here's the references. If you have any questions, please leave a message on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hirosawa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, which part of your project did you focus on the most?
Oh, it is minimum product because I think that I can make a better product by knowing if the user wants a product. That's
okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hirosawa. Okay, let me introduce next speaker. Let's move on to the next speaker. Next speaker is Mr. Sakai. Mr. Sakai, he is a jump-in speaker. Thank you so much for coming today. Mr. Sakai's presentation is titled Measures for Growth with Firebase Remote Config and Unit Testing using RxSwift. Please start when you're ready.
Yes. Please wait a minute.
It's okay, take your time.
Can you see slides?
No, I don't see your slides.
Oh. Okay.
Are there anyone?
Okay.
No, I can't see. Anyone can see Mr. Sakai's slides?
Okay. Please wait a minute.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, that is a slide memo.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I can see your slides right now.
I'm sorry.
Please go ahead. It's okay.
Okay, let's start. Today, I will announce it with the title Measures for Growth with Firebase Remote Config and Unit Testing using RxSwift. I look forward to working with you. I don't usually have the opportunity to speak English at all, so I'm afraid it may be difficult to hear on the way, but please forgive me. My name is Fumiya Sakai. I'm a freelance engineer who is usually mainly involved in developing native apps for iOS and Android. Recently, I'm also personally interested in Flutter, and I've put together a notebook of what I personally worked on, published it on Twitter. Having worked as a designer in the past, the part related to the UI implementations of the apps is still the part that I'm almost interested in personally. And I personally write books apart from developing iOS and Android apps in my business, and I have written 4 books. These books focus on the subject of UI implementation and expressions that give features on the screen using UIKit, especially in iOS application development. And thankfully, the books I've written so far have been published as commercial magazines by Impress R&D. Most recently, Volume 3 was released in October 2021. Regarding the samples published in the book, I plan to find a gap and gradually operate and maintain it. First of all, I would like to briefly introduce the growth hack process that I have experienced in my work so far. Basically, the team to which you belong will come up with an idea based on the analytics data and the results of user interviews. And based on this idea, actively consider the options from outside the team and realize the feasibility. I feel that the point to explore is the point. If you understand the background, you will be able to grasp the issues and points that are likely to be points at the implementation stage in advance. I would like to introduce one thing that I am working on. When there is such a session or meeting, I actively use paper and pen to take notes. This is because I want to have a little UI and logic implementation image when realizing the function, as well as the intention to hold down the detailed context of the discussion. Let us consider such a case as a more specific case. If you want to add a new feature section to the top screen of app to see its effect, or if you want to display the current trend keywords on the search screen to know how much you are using. Of course, this is very good measure. However, if the verification cycle is repeated in a short period of time, the preparation period may not be sufficient. This is especially true if the backend prepares the requirement data and mechanisms. In such a case, Firebase remote config may be used and temporarily used as a storage location for the master date together with feature flags. Here are some examples of articles and slides that were helpful in learning about A/B testing using Firebase remote config. Now let's take a brief look at how to incorporate Firebase remote config processing into business logic. The premise is structured with a loosely coupled architecture. It's layered using RxSwift. Combined with the processing using RxSwift's single, maybe, completable operator, it will be in a form that can be handled at the timing of screen display processing. Of course, there are some difficult parts while considering the benefits of RxSwift and architecture. Regarding the part introduced in the slide, I think that it will be a screen where various functions and states can exist in one screen. And in such a case, it is good to be careful when conducting A/B testing. Let's look at the key points from the actual code example. When using the logic on the presentation side, take care so that the A/B testing judgment process does not have a bad effect when combined with the screen display or data acquisition process. Here are two examples that I often fall into when using RxSwift to create complex logic. For one, even values that don't need to be done are wrapped in the RxSwift operator, which can be rather complicated. In some cases, the two were connected by single zip without considering the order of the interval processes, and it was about to exceed the upper limit. From here, I'll touch on unit tests for a moment. In my case, I often use SweetyMonkey, which is one of the mock automatic generation tools. I like the fact that you can quickly generate mock on the command line and it's easy to deploy. Unit testing can play an important role when it comes to complex logic. In particular, the part that assumes A/B testing tends to be complicated. So if you can guarantee the operation by unit testing, I would like to actively utilize it. I would like to get the summary. When launching various functions while swiftly turning measures, I feel it's important to pay attention to the intent and grounds of the measure as well as the basic part of the logic. Thank you for your attention. If I have the next opportunity, I would like to share my insights on deeper UI implementations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sakai. Thank you. Why did you choose this theme for today's event? You usually use RxSwift for developing or just started to learn recently?
Yes. Japanese okay.
Oh, okay. どうぞ、日本語で。
はい。ご質問ってどういったかってことですか？
今日このテーマを選んだ理由は、最近勉強し始めたのか、それとももともとよく RxSwift 普段から使われてるんですか？
RxSwift については、そうですね、かれこれ4年くらい使っております。で今回この題材を選んだのは、結構、なんでしょうね、バックエンド側がどうしても間に合わないだとか、どうしても検証のために一時的に使いたいみたいな、そういった用途がある場合が結構あったんですね。なので、こちらで、手軽に試して、手軽に検証して、手軽に効果測定したいっていうときに、ちょっと代わりといってはなんですけど、AB テストの機構自体は、Firebase リモートコンフィグに用意されているんですけれども、Firebase リモートコンフィグに JSON も一応指定はできるので、そこで、要はダミというかマスターデータの代わりのものを一時的に用意して、その施策を打っていくっていうことを結構やっていたことがあったので、それで RxSwift とも絡めてこういうふうにやっていくといいんじゃないかっていうのが自分の中でもちょっと、これはなかなかいいアプローチだなと思って、今回題材を選んだ次第でございます。
なるほど。じゃあ、ちょっとこの事例がなかなかいい手法だなと思って、今日紹介したかったっていうことですね。
そうですね。本来であれば、例えば、その JSON をこういう感じで使うのってもしかしたらあまり良くないかもしれないんですけれども、なんでしょうね。どうしても本来だったら、例えばヘッドレスな CMS なんかを用意してやる方が本当はセオリーなのかもしれないですね。データの管理においてはなんですけれども。
なるほど。
はい。
はい。ありがとうございます。Thank you so much for coming
Thank you so
today.
much.
Thank you. Let me introduce our next speaker. Finally, let me introduce the last speaker. Our last speaker is Mr. Fuji. Welcome here.
Thank you.
Mr.
Okay,
Fuji's presentation is titled, What Do We Want to Know Through Coding Assessment? Please start when you're ready.
Thank you. Yeah, let me start my presentation. And my title is What Do We Want to Know Through Coding Assessment? The first, quickly, let me introduce myself. My name is Taka, and now I joined WellSpark 2 years ago, and now I'm working at WellSpark as a VP of engineering. And before joining WellSpark, I was working at Rakuten, so somehow I used to working in English. And also today I don't have much time, but let me quickly explain about WellSpark. We are building a platform empower both the individual investor and the property management company. We like to connect each other well. So this is our main product. If you are interested in, please check later. And maybe one more topic I would like to share. Actually, our WellSpark engineering team is more than 80% of engineers are non-Japanese. So we are using English for our daily product development. So yeah, today's theme is what is a coding test for. So definitely you can imagine there are things you cannot find in an interview. This is because through interview, most of the case, you could not see the actual code which candidate implements, or even you ask some of the technical questions, it's quite difficult to see the coding style which candidate like. So that's why we need coding assessment, for example. But what kind of coding assessment do you imagine? So maybe, for example, let's say there's an algorithm testing or some of the difficult calculations or computation regarding testing, like a lead code or hackrank or something like that. But I would like to ask one question here. So if the candidate made a great code, which has a perfect score, which has a very good score, this is obviously great, but is this really what you want to know through the coding assessment? So let me talk about our company's case for front-end engineer position, for example. So today, we discussed about what we would like to know through the coding assessment. And the context is, I think most of the company actually is the same, but most of the members are involved in the product development. And so far, at the moment, no need to implement difficult algorithms, most of the case, for our engineer. So our conclusion is we would like to know the coding style for product development. And also the second and the third point is quite important for everyone. So we would like to verify, if possible, be able to have a healthy discussion with the candidate, or if we could have a confidence, or if we can imagine we can work with this candidate well. These are obviously great things we would like to see. So today, let me share. This is the coding assessment, one of the actual coding assessment we are using. So this is the example. This is a coding assessment to display the Hacker News as a list. This is one page. So Hacker News has the open API, so we can fetch their data easily. So this assessment is to display the Hacker News information as a list. This is one example coding assessment we are using. So there's some restrictions. Wellspark front-end, we are using React and TypeScript. So this is required. And we would like to see how candidate implements the HTML and the CSS from scratch. So in this requirement, in this assessment, we ask not using the UI component library. And this is not everything, but we show the few additional requirements, something like that. So what is a good point of those kind of assessment? Is also enter one more note. The first, we say not expecting the candidate use too much time to complete that coding assessment. And also, obviously, our candidate might be busy, so we don't have any restriction deadline about that assessment. And the third point is, this is important. We ask the candidate, we will use the submitted code for the next interview. We might ask some question based on the submitted code. This is an important point for us. So what can we see by using those kind of coding assessment? So the first one is obviously a good point for us. We can see how the candidate implement the code, especially for the product development. So we can imagine what kind of production code they go implement through that coding assessment. And not only the coding output, we can ask some of the questions, how they can think through implementing the coding assessment. What is your reason to use the library or something like that? This is a very helpful information or helpful communication for us to know what kind of thinking or what kind of idea that candidate has. So I think this is also a great point. So of course, on the other hand, there are some of the considerations. So of course, interviewer need to go through their code which candidate submitted. So it takes time. And also, of course, it will take certain amount of time of the candidate. So this is a good and a bad things, but that means if the candidate are not interested in our company, that means for some case, the candidate might not submit our coding assessment. So we need to, this is a good or bad things, but this is a consideration point, I think. So here is today's conclusion. So I think first, I do not deny the testing algorithm type of testing. So what I would like to say is the important thing is the purpose of the coding assessment. So if each company discuss about the purpose and to clarify what do you want to know through coding assessment, then probably it's good to think about the coding assessment style for each company. So last topic is we are also hiring. We open many positions, or even like casual talk is very welcome. Please feel free to contact if you are interested in. So, and the last one is a personal advertisement. I'm doing the podcast, but this is Japanese, but this is for the engineer and engineering manager. So if you are interested in, please also check it out. So that's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Fuji. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're using the Hacker News for the coding assessment.
At the moment, we are not using anything. Previously, we are using those kind of tools, and we were doing kind of like algorithm testing or something like that. But after discussion, it's not good for us. So we are not using those kind of tools now, and we are just submitting those kind of coding assessment with homework style. So.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. So you're using the homework styles coding assessment right now. Okay, so you tried a lot of styles, right, for coding test.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much for coming today, Mr. Fuji.
Thank you.
From Wells Park. Thank you so much. Okay, that's about all the time we have for today. Sorry, the time is really over the time. Sorry. Now I would like to ask today's speakers for their impressions about this English Tech LT event, English Tech LT Jam today. Mr. Yamashita, hello. This is our first time having an English Tech LT as a corporate collaboration event. How was it?
It's really exciting.
It was very excited, right?
Yeah. So I'm happy to end this event.
Finally, third time we hold the corporate collaboration version. Okay. How about Mr. Terai? Are you there, Mr. Terai? How was our event today?
It is the first time for me to have an opportunity to give a presentation in English. So it is a good experience for me today. And thank you too much today.
Okay, thank you too. Okay. How about Mr. Akanuma? How was this event?
Yeah, I was nervous for the presentation, but it's so nice opportunity for me. So it's been a while since I've last had an English presentation. So that's so good opportunity. Thanks.
Your presentation was really great. I was really interested in. Okay, how about Mr. Kaji? Are you there? How was this event tonight?
Well, it's very difficult for me to understand, but
me too, actually.
Yes, I got very good experience. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. How about Mr. Karim? Mr. Karim, are you there? I have some questions for you.
Yes.
Do you usually use English in your work? Or do you usually use Japanese?
I'm guessing a mixture of both. We use Japanese. I use Japanese and English. So yeah, it depends on who I'm talking to.
Oh, so at Unified, you use Japanese and English both, right?
Yes. Good.
Okay. And Mr. Akanuma can speak English well, so you can communicate with English also, right? Okay. How about Mr. Hirasawa?
Yeah.
How was this event tonight?
It was a great experience for me to learn English. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Mr. Sakai, are you there?
Thank you for this opportunity. I was very nervous, but I enjoyed it very much. For now on, I would like to do my best in English. And now I want to be able to talk about my knowledge about UI implementation.
Yes. Actually, I was nervous too. But
Yes.
this was a very good experience, right? Okay, how about Mr. Fuji?
Yes. Yeah, I think there are not so much like meetup we can use English for presentation. So obviously, yeah, this is a very great opportunity to talk. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for coming today, Billy. And then I can ask some questions from audience right now because we got some questions from audience during the presentations. Okay, where was that? We got some questions from audience. Maybe this is for Mr. Yamashita.
Okay.
Okay. This is for Mr. Yamashita. About Flutter. So is Flutter or React Native better than Swift for iOS development?
Difficult question. I like both. So yeah, depends on situation.
Depends on situation.
Yeah. So yeah. In ANDPAD, so newly application, so use Flutter.
Okay. So let me ask the next question. Oh, from Mr. Hirata. Great slides. Hoping you could share with us later. Maybe this is to Mr. Akanuma. You can share?
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably I'll share it later.
Thank you so much. Okay, from Harry-san. I learned a lot. Thank you so much. How can you show yourself in the screen like this, by the way? Maybe. What is this comment to whom?
It's for my presentation, so I
maybe?
share my own into the screen presentation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's a basic function of the Zoom screen sharing. So all Zoom users can that function, I think.
Thank you. Okay, let's ask. Then can you hear my voice? Okay. It's new for me. Never thought about giving an English presentation with reading Japanese slides. You made my day. Thanks. Maybe this is for Mr. Kaji. Mr. Kaji wrote presentation in Japanese, right? Okay, maybe this comment is for Mr. Kaji. And the next comment. And then thanks. Do you have an iOS job position? Maybe this is for, let me ask to the 3 companies. Do you have an iOS job position?
Of course.
Of course. From ANDPAD. How about iCARE? Of course, maybe.
At iCARE, really sorry. There is no position of iOS application at iCARE.
No? No. Okay.
Oh, really?
I think the answer is no. Okay. And then how about Unifa? Of course, right?
We are hiring iOS engineers, so some iOS engineers. So if you are interested in it, please contact me and have a casual interview.
Oh, thank you. So they're hiring. Okay, next. Good explanation. Yeah, I think so too. And have any opportunities to use English in business? We heard from Mr. Fuji, their Wells Park is hiring the engineers from foreigners, and you have some opportunities to speak English, right?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
there, Mr.
yes,
Fuji?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
And how
So-
about Unifa? And Unifa's company has some opportunities to speak English, right? Also.
Yeah, but our overseas engineers, including Shaquille, can talk Japanese well. So there are not so many chances to talk in English. So mainly we are using Japanese.
Okay. How about iCARE? iCARE-san. Do you have any opportunities to speak English?
Honestly, I really have opportunity to speak English, but there are many people at IKEA who are interested in English.
Okay, so there are a lot of people learning
Yes.
English, right? iCARE. Thank you. And how about ANPAD?
Of course,
Mr.
yes.
Yamashita? Of course,
Yeah,
yes.
so yeah, Mr. Kaji said so he works with engineers in Vietnam. So
Vietnam.
yeah, he speaks English. Probably.
Okay,
yeah.
we have some opportunities to speak
Yeah.
English using English. Okay. Are there any questions next? And have any opportunities to use English business? Yes. Are there any other questions from audience? Maybe we answered all of the questions. Okay. Thank you for coming today. 25 minutes. So let me
Thank you.
wrap up. Let me wrap up this event. Okay, thank you so much to all the speakers. Please give them a big round of applause. Woo! Okay, lastly, we have just sent you an email about a survey for this event. The URL of the survey for this event also can be found on the chat box and Compass event page. We will use the answers as a reference for the operation of the event. We appreciate your cooperation. That's all for today. We'd like to thank you all again for attending today. We hope you have learned a lot and enjoyed the sessions, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.